Coulson is going to appear in the final episode of Loki, and I'm going to tell you how right now. Hello, welcome to Lego Freedom 1. My name is Tim Weber, or Lego Freedom 1. As you can tell, I'm recording in front of a terrible green screen, hence my hands disappearing. I'm also doing this on a Zoom call because why not? Actually, I'm doing it because I'm working on setting up my studio. But I have not done any videos on Loki, but this one is serious. No, it's not, but I just want to do it as a joke. But if it turns out that I'm right, I wanted to say that I predicted it first. So that's why I'm doing this. All right, let's get in. So, spoilers for Loki, obviously ahead for the first 5 episodes of Loki. This is talking about the finale. Coulson is going to appear, but not how you think. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans like me are going to be disappointed, or maybe we'll be happy depending on how this pans out. Let's get into it. So, how is Coulson appearing? Well, Phil Coulson is actually the villain of the Loki series. How do I know this? Well, if you think about it, they gave that Coulson tease at the beginning of the show. Why put a Coulson tease in? I mean, really, yes, this was just moments after he had killed Coulson, so it makes sense sort of showing that kill and showing how the Avengers got their motivation and all of that. So on the one hand, it makes sense, like, this is 2012 Loki. But from an outside perspective, like, Coulson hasn't been relevant to the movie side of the MCU for a long time, because before you say, he was in Captain Marvel took place in the 90s. As far as the movies are concerned, they haven't cared about him. Again, I believe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon to the MCU, but that is a conversation for another day. So, here's the thing. We know that there is someone at the end of the void in Loki, living in a castle. And a lot of people think it's Kang the Conqueror. Some people think it's another Loki variant. Some people think it's Mobius. Like, he's been playing them the whole time, which I think is ridiculous, but I know it's Coulson. And here's why. If you think about it, again, that tease in episode 1, reminding us about Coulson, also hinting that he was the bad guy. Then we got another tease when you had the parallel of Loki being stabbed, just like how he stabbed Coulson. It was a direct parallel. That was to remind us again, subconsciously, hey, look, Coulson, this Coulson guy. So, how do I know it's Coulson? Well, if you think about it, who is someone who'd want every single variant of Loki dead? Coulson. So my theory is that this is a variant of Coulson who did in fact survive being killed, and he's just mad at Loki because he almost died. And so he hatched this plan, he created the TVA, all of that, hatched this plan to get rid of every single Loki from every single timeline possible. Because if you think about it, besides Mobius, who else was left in the void? It was really just Loki variants. Now, yes, there were a few exceptions, the exceptions being that lately the TVA has been taking their own members and pruning them, and then you also have that ship that appeared with the random sailors, although for all we know, it could have been Loki. Loki could have been on that ship. We just don't know. But other than that, we haven't seen any other people. It's just Loki variants, which makes me think they're actually just pruning Loki variants, and the whole thing is cover-up. Coulson wants them dead because he is mad and he wants revenge. So he is naturally getting rid of every single Loki variant from every timeline imaginable and just pruning them out of existence. And to make matters worse, or more of getting his revenge, he lets those variants live for a little bit. That way they can actually acknowledge getting wiped away. Because, like, if you think about it, the way the TVA prunes people doesn't make any sense. If they're protecting the sacred timeline, then shouldn't it be as soon as there's a slight difference, that creates a timeline? If they're trying to protect a sacred timeline and only have a sacred timeline, then any difference should be snapped away. And if you think about it, what has he let succeed? The Avengers. The Avengers were allowed to do that. Who's in the Avengers? Captain America. It goes further. If you think about it, at the end of Endgame, Captain America goes back in time to live with Peggy Carter. Hello? Think of all the ramifications that could have. And if you're going with the Russo brothers saying that he had to go to an alternate timeline and then back to the main timeline, which usually I have been disagreeing with, but for sake of this theory, I'm now going to agree with them. If what they're saying is true, and it's not just that it's been this whole big time loop, that should be massive red flags. Like, that should be enough to have him pruned, taken from the timeline. Unless the guy leading the TVA is Captain America's biggest fan, Phil Coulson. I mean, if you think about it, how could Steve Rogers get away with something so massive that would drastically alter the timeline? I mean, you're talking about having Captain America around that whole time period. And there's only two possibilities here. Either Captain America decides to back away and doesn't change anything, in which case he's not really being the best hero that he usually is, or he's Captain America and he decides to stop certain events from happening because he's not going to want Bucky to get under Hydra's control. He's not going to want Hydra to take over S.H.I.E.L.D. If he's with Peggy Carter, the one who helps establish S.H.I.E.L.D., she's one of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s founding members, he's going to tell her, hey, Arnim Zola's taking over and Hydra's going to come back. You can't hire this guy, or here's the ways we can stop this ahead of time. Like, you're married to Peggy Carter. You're not just going to let that slide. You hate Hydra. You're not going to let that slide. That's going to change the timeline drastically. It can't be allowed. That sacred timeline, way gone. Unless Phil Coulson is allowing it to happen because he loves Steve so much and he wants Steve to be happy. He wants Steve to be with Peggy Carter because he's a fanboy of Captain America. I mean, it's brilliant if you think about it. He's the only person who would allow such changes to happen because he wants Captain America to have that great life. And so it's sort of his way of thanking Captain America for being great and being the hero to Captain America now. So that's why Steve is able to get away with what he's doing. It's also why the Avengers are able to succeed, especially because if you think about it, the Avengers formed when Phil Coulson died. He realizes that, hey, I helped them. They saved the world. You know what? I'm going to help them again. And so he helps them, lets them stop Thanos with the time travel antics and shenanigans in Endgame. But another Loki variant is created, and thus Coulson's like, hey, I've got to get rid of this guy again. Not opposed to that. I'm trying to get rid of every single one. And so he keeps doing it, but just like Coulson keeps coming back, Loki keeps coming back. That's another thing. It's brilliant. Which MCU character keeps coming back each time they die? Coulson. Which other MCU character keeps coming back after they die? Loki. You literally have the direct parallels. You have the good guy and the bad guy. Imagine if you flip-flop it, because in this show, Loki's becoming a good guy. Phil Coulson was like the best of them all. Loki betrays everyone, essentially the worst of them all. You have them switch. I did that wrong. You have them switch like that. It's brilliant. You have the two guys who can never die facing each other on opposite sides of the spectrum that they're usually on. Brilliant. Now, how does this fit with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Well, there's several possibilities. Either one, this is the Phil Coulson from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which could explain by the fact that eventually at the end, spoilers for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, the final season, Phil Coulson comes back as a Chronicom LMD hybrid, and so essentially the real Phil Coulson, his body is dead to the point of it can't come back at all, but it's comics, so it could be if they want to, but essentially right now he's Chronic Coulson, as I call him. So you have that guy. You could say the LMD wiring took over and he turned evil, and it's that Phil Coulson. You could have Sarge come back, but he wasn't enough of Coulson for that connection to really happen, and a lot of people have mixed feelings on Sarge, so I don't think that's the way they would do it. So there's those options. You could have it where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. never happened, and it's just they're saying, hey, Coulson did survive, but this is what happened instead, not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You could say, hey, look, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. happened, but this is also another variant where he survived, and this is how he survived. Or you could say he actually died came back. Actually, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he technically does die, and then he comes back. So this could just be where he did survive. Or it could be he died, and then the Tahiti Project messed with him so much that he turned evil. There's so many ways you could do it and make Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Sorry. So many ways you could do it and make Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. canon, and so many ways you could do it and make Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. not canon. Again, I would love it for it to be canon because that's what I believe right now, but that's my idea. I think that Phil Coulson is the villain, which is going to be heartbreaking to see. I'm going to love seeing Clark Gregg back as Coulson, but I'm going to be so hurt to see him as the bad guy. And that's why it makes sense, because you have the direct parallels of the two that die, always come back. They've switched sides. You have 2012 Loki, who just killed Coulson, now facing Coulson again, except this Coulson has had who knows how many years to live out and plan this revenge. And then, so you have that parallel, and then you have Coulson back. It's brilliant all around. Yeah, that is my theory. Again, it's mainly a joke, but if it turns out to be true, look, it's got a lot going for it. I'm just saying. It's got more going for it than my green screen background has, right? Right? Yeah. All right. Well, I'm Lego Freedom 1. Thanks for watching this video. Comment your thoughts below. Mephisto confirmed. This is Lego Freedom 1 out. God bless. Bye.